And now we're finally on. I can see that because the what it changed. Yeah, now we got the goodness that is
There we go.
innate, innate screen. And we're live again. What's a game player episode without technical difficulties? Am I right? We got a lot to cover. Just to live service games again. PlayStation statics up, Microsoft down. What's next for Microsoft? Hi-Fi Rush. Is it genuinely a game changer? And of course, God of War selling 11 mil. But before we do so, let's start with our small panel for this week. Viper, how are you, man? What you been playing?
How's it going, people? Chat panel. I missed the last week's episode, and I'm back for this week. Um, so what wound up happening was there's several games that I've platinumed in between the last time I spoke and this one. Um, so I'm sorry, my life is stupid. Sorry. The gardens between yeah, you did. Bend the Light, the Gardens Between. I was able to platinum those two. The Gardens Between
Nice.
is pretty. Is the ending? Oh my! It's kind of sad. I like the Gardens Between. It's a small story. You don't know it's a story until you get like three quarters of the way through, and then you're like, oh, this is starting to pan out to be a story. And then you get to the end, and you're like, oh, oh man. So the Gardens Between actually has a nice story. I like that a lot. I started Valkyrie Elysium because I had Platinum Valkyrie Lenneth, Profile Lenneth, my last time here. But Persona quickly came out with P33 Portable and P4. So
You
I
are a persona, not job, eh?
yes, I am. I completely dropped Valkyrie Elysium for now until I can finish P3.
Ah,
P3.
damn. The
Um,
disrespect.
it is. It is
Re-
very
Real
disrespectful.
talk. Valkyrie Elysium gets good at the end. Like when you get the best ending,
Right.
that's when it gets amazing. Before that, you're gonna feel like this shit is trash.
Well, I'm actually I had preconceptions when I started playing the first chapter after all the tutorials and stuff. The actual battling system is really not for me. I like Lenneth because it was turn based. Elysium,
Mm-hmm.
not. I'm still going to play it because it's actually still semi fun, but I'm not as excited as I was when I was playing Lenneth. Um, in the middle of P3P. I'm halfway through finishing that. I'm also playing along with The Last of Us Part One. Yes, I did get to the bill section. I am now, I'm at the ambush section, and so I stopped playing until I see this week's show. And for Spoken, I see a lot of people playing it. I want to play it. I'm going to play it. Every fiber inch of my body wants to play it, but I have rules and regulations when it comes to the games that I play. I am in Atlas Horror number 1, so that's why P33 got pushed to the top. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but with that being said, Forbidden West and Forspoken are hot on my heels. I'm gonna be knocking both of those out within the next 2 months.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Um, and Nate, our host. What good, my man? And what you been playing?
No, I'm good. Um, yeah, just working my way towards the Dead Space remake platinum. Um, it is frustrating the ever living shit out of me. Not gonna lie, um, because of the way the save system works when you are playing on that difficulty. It is extremely um, extremely frustrating. You have to be incredibly careful. Um, whether or not you die, and if you do die, you need to quit pretty pretty quickly in order to prevent the game from messing up your save, and quit out to the main menu because it's basically a permadeath run, is essentially what it is. So you have to kind of um, smartly save scum to the best of your ability to make sure that
As you should. As
you
you
do that.
should.
Yeah. So it's a mess. Mainly just because there are some deaths in uh, in this game that can definitely be bullshit, and there are some things that can um, kill you pretty quickly. Uh, Even with you being a really upgraded, having a really upgraded suit and things like that. So yeah, you definitely got to be careful. Like I said, I still love my first playthrough of the game. Like I said, they updated it a lot. Added a lot to it, so I'm still really enjoying the game in general. It just creates a new level of frustration when anytime you have to deal with permadeath in games where there's potential bullshit around each corner. Um, Stuff popping out when it shouldn't, or too soon, or around blind corners, or how difficult certain encounters can be. So yeah, that's been interesting. Um, Priscilla has been getting to hear that frustration, but
Congratulations for her for getting the class.
yeah, yeah. I told her she was very excited. She was in the living room like, I got one that you don't got. She's very,
Hey.
yeah, because I was the first one to get it when we uh, played the original back in 2008, and then she got it eventually as well. Um,
Mm-hmm.
which apparently, for the record, if people don't know, that one was apparently harder difficulty wise, because Impossible Mode was actually a different level of difficulty. On here, Impossible is hard difficulty, but with permadeath. So there's no new level of difficulty. It's hard mode with just, it basically destroys your save and drops you down to hard if you die and you don't quit before you die. Um, so yeah, like I said, working my way through that. I'm definitely gonna get it. It's more a thing of attrition and taking your time and going into each situation prepared. Um, but besides that, I'm also still playing Fire Emblem Engage. I'm a lot farther now, and I'm still thoroughly enjoying the game. Um, there's usually something to point out with those games, sadly, because I really do love Fire Emblem. But um, Nintendo's games, when they get more complicated like these, tend to run into a situation where they can get overly complicated, and systems on top of each other start to kind of collide, or they don't work as intended. And it seems like it almost seems kind of insulting, like as if uh, no one play tested them. And there's a system in the game where you have to inherit skills from the old emblems, or the old heroes from other Fire Emblems, called SP. And the SP gain is so slow, and yet, like, I think the most I would have garnered is my original character would have garnered about maybe 2,000 by now, or 2,000, maybe 2,500. And that's a character from the very, very beginning. Um, and all my characters have had, they need to have rings on in order to generate the SP, and they've always had them. Yet, like I said, that's from the very beginning of the game. So some of the characters, of course, you get them later in the game, this, that, and the third. But the problem is, like I said, with getting about 2,500 total, is that some of the skills cost 2,000, and then some of the skills cost 3,000 or 4,000 or 5,000, and you're expected to be able to inherit, multiple skills that you want, and you shouldn't have
So,
to.
is it Grind Fest?
It's not even really like a grind fest. Like, it's beyond that. If you want to inherit the skills, that all that you want, like, you literally have to go out of your way to intentionally invent and try to exploit certain things in order to even maybe come close to some of these. And even then, you'd be doing it for two or three, skirmishes or something with one character just attempting to get, some semblance of SP going. So it is extremely imbalanced. Like it should be about 4 to 5 times faster inherently because if you're playing and you're winning and you're playing the game well and everything else is fine, um, then there's no reason your SP shouldn't be where it needs to be in order for you to appropriately, be able to grab these skills. So I'm hoping that, Nintendo or the team that's actually behind it will actually look at this and understand that, this was a mess as far as that system goes. Everything else has been pretty great. Money is a little weird one, but there's ways around that are pretty easy. There's some characters that really benefit from basically being gold specialists, so you can kind of get around that fairly easily and still not have to really sidetrack yourself a lot. Um, so that hasn't been as bad of a solution, but there's not really a good solution for SP. Like people have, hey, how to farm SP, how to do this, but the reality is it's still slow no matter how you do it. Like incredibly frustratingly slow.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's definitely my biggest issue with the game so far. It doesn't stop me from beating it or whatever, but in a game that's meant to have your characters be designed the way that you want them to be, um, it creates a level of frustration um, that uh, definitely doesn't make me enjoy it because I hate when there's a system in a game that I can't utilize appropriately and I can immediately tell it's imbalanced or it's not balanced correctly or things like that. So, it is what it is. Also, shout out to Stardust and Christos and Sanctus in the chat.
Yeah, shout out to yeah. I'm waiting until you're done before I give my shout out.
Yeah. But yeah, like I said, I got you. I'll turn Omar up some. They said you're kind of low in the chat, so
Oh,
uh,
I am low. Give me a second to
yeah.
turn my mic up.
I mean, I just
Cause
turned you up on my
uh,
side because it's me
can you
they're
turn it
listening
up
to.
then?
Yeah, I already turned you up. So yeah,
Okay.
totally
How about
fine. So
now? Am
go
I
right ahead.
better?
But yeah,
Am I better?
mainly focusing back and forth between those two games pretty heavily. I haven't had
Yeah.
much time to play anything else. I was again playing Marvel Midnight Suns, which once I'm finally done with Fire Emblem
Mhm.
and Dead Space, I'm definitely gonna jump back full force into those at least, obviously until Hogwarts Legacy comes out because yeah,
Oh. Oh. Okay. You're one of those. Okay,
absolutely
I'm joking.
day one, day one.
Um.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what's up, C
So
Fresh?
okay. Now with innate is low. It was good on my end. Fresh is saying you're low, but you're loud as fuck on my end.
No, he's
I'm
talking
not
about the
sure.
chat. You got to remember all this stuff is like via OBS.
Okay. So before I start, shout out to Stardust. Uh. Shout out to Christo. Hey, shout out to Santos. I'm still waiting on your podcast, Santos. Shout out to Totally Blonde. And shout out to Sea Fresh. Okay, as for me, what I have done, I came home from the Netherlands. I got engaged in Lebanon, and I have been off grid when it comes to gaming. Like 11 days been strictly just business. Zero gaming time. What I was playing before going to Lebanon, I finished Axiom Verge, the one that PlayStation gave. They gave two for PlayStation Plus. I bought one and I played one, and I had a blast. And I gotta give it to shout out to the developers that did Axiom Verge. Why? Because most of the time when you do a sequel, you just rehash your old stuff. You add some new element and call it a day. With them, no, they actually gave you a new game. They updated the the visuals. They give you new gameplay mechanic, and it still feels fresh. And then when they sprinkle in the old one from the older game, you feel like that's an either Easter egg or a good call to do. Um, Story is messy, like mad messy. It's convoluted as hell. Um, I do still need to go to beat Action Verge 1. I think at the final boss I can do him, but oh yeah, the issue with Action Verge, I think I talked about it, is the rand. If again panel, you need to to decide if I did. Feel free to cut me off because I forgot. Basically, Action Verge have something called hidden world. These worlds are so hidden, they're basically random. There is a way to find them, but you're not gonna be able to do so on your own because um and yeah it's frustrating because they keep the best stuff there like weapons, health upgrade, and all that jazz. And if you want to get the platinum, you need to find them because there are secret codes that you need to find, and they are in the hidden wall. And I think there is 26. I didn't shout you out. I haven't seen you yet. Priscilla, shout out to you, Priscilla. Shout out to that Dead Space W. Oh yeah, I did. Yeah. With Axiom Verge, I love the game, but I'm not going for the plat. And I don't recommend anyone quit for plat because even with whatchamacallit, a sheet, a website to help you out, no one knows where the walls are. They're random. If you want to waste your life on that, good job. Good luck with that. After I beat Action Verse 2, I'm gonna absolutely go play uh not Hollow Knight. No, I played Hollow Knight. Skull Grave, Skull, Shovel Knight. I never played Shovel Knight, and I'm super excited about Shovel Knight. And that's about it. Oh, very quick rant. Fuck, screw every single one of you in the USA. PlayStation is actually dick about that. They give USA all the good stuff, and we get nothing. Like for example, the PlayStation 5 update for the second time. I'm left with nothing. Shout out to you, Viper. I will never forget it. You gave me code twice now, and twice it didn't work because of my region. So, Cristo, you're getting my code that Viper gave to me. Nah, real talk though. PlayStation dick for this one is absolutely a dick. It's frustrating because I want to be a part of the conversation because I have always wanted to play games while on Discord. So to be implemented with PlayStation 5 is amazing. That's number one. Number two, I hate the DualSense update because I always need to connect my PlayStation to it. So with now it being what do you call that? Um, uh, Cable without cable. What do you call that shit without cable?
Wireless?
This, why? Thank you. Wireless update. Thank you to you, Viper. Um, Christo, if you're on your phone, you can absolutely redeem it. You have enough time. You have till end of this month, I think, to redeem it, or next month. I forgot when. So you have enough time to redeem it. Um, Dude, that's such an amazing update. The fact that you can now able to update your controller wireless. Like I'm waiting on that. Other than that, yeah, no. PlayStation is absolutely dick for doing that. Oh, they're even more dick for giving PlayStation Asia uh, Sword Art Online and giving us for PlayStation Plus Europe and USA fucking Mafia. I'm like, you already gave Mafia. Oh, and one last thing, the whole PlayStation removing PlayStation games from their PlayStation Plus collection. One, if you want them, you can claim them right now. Uh, Two, I am disappointed that they're not updating it. Because it would have been a very good thing, not very good thing, a very exciting thing to do. I'm curious why they're removing it. It was a very good thing to, have people jump in with the PlayStation 5 and then you got, boom, 18 to 20 games to play. Other than that, yeah, no. Um, it's not an L, it's not a W, it's neither, it's just stuff that happened, kind of like what Microsoft did with the 360 games, because you can still play them on Xbox One, I think. So yeah, let's just jump to the news. Where do we start? Um, so another game as a live service that is dead, DoD. So which game I'm talking about? So Knockout City. From the official Twitter account. Knockout City, we have an important announcement about the future of Knockout City. Season 9 will be our final season. All servers will be shut down on June 6th. We have more in store, so stay tuned. Learn more about the upcoming sunset in our latest blog. Um, so one person said, "Get owned. Knew this was coming. You guys don't take any feedback and force pushed microtransactions." And here is the problem. One person says, "Where is the gun they held to your head and told you to buy microtransactions?" My guy, this is why the game died. Because of priorities that clearly the developers didn't have. Mind you, I never played Knockout. I don't care about Knockout. I care about the industry. Um, yeah, so one person said live service games are dying all around us, but big publishers keep on pushing them out the door. Rip Knockout City, you were one of the good ones. People say this is a good game, and the other one is from what you call it, Babylon Fall. Apparently, it's a good game. Mm,
I mean, I know several people that played Knockout City or tried to get me to
yeah,
play it or so on and so forth. So, I mean, I know a lot of people that had a ton of fun about it, but this is the danger that we speak about when we talk to people about live
yeah,
service games.
yeah,
And, like, even one that was, like I said, deemed largely good and was all over Twitch and super popular for a moment. Like I said, at one moment, you're the flavor of the month, and the next, people stop playing you, the player base drops to an abysmal level, and you last ultimately about a year, year and a half, and you're done. Like, this is
yeah.
the
So
trouble with these.
here is the one person saying it. Rumbleverse and now Knockout City this year stinks. And Ilona, shout out to her. She said Apex Mobile also dead. and some people think also Battlefield Mobile is dead. So we so basically this year I forgot, no, not this year, in a span of 2 years we have Rumbleverse dead, Knockout City dead, Revenge Avengers dead, Back for Blood dead, Apex Mobile dead, and then Final Fantasy VII The First Soldier dead. Yo, it I uh I don't know where to start with this one. Okay. Hey, what's up, Persona? Look, we had Delhi on here. So I love developers. I respect developers. However, I'm not gonna sugarcoat this one. Um, I love that we're seeing a game of live service dying. Look, I can talk about my experience with the Vengeance beta, not the full game, the beta. I can talk about my experience with what you call it, with what's the other game? Um, the one from Anthem. Yeah, Anthem. Yeah, Anthem beta. I can talk about those. Um, my frustrated. I'm frustrated. Look. Um, I was one of those people when I heard. I was super excited about Babylon Fall when it was back then single player game. The second I found out it's a game of live service. It's over. I had zero interest in that game because yeah, it's going to be a never-ending game. I need my game to end. Like,
This is mine. And bear in mind the problem that I've told you that people keep messing up the formula, right? Like everybody wants to the focus for a lot of these games, even if they're good, is typically focused on or around the monetization of the game, right? Rather than focusing on taking care of the game, making sure the game itself is good, and then simply adding microtransactions as like an additive or a cosmetic, right? Something that does not change or alter the game. The moment you start to create you know um, disparaging gaps between their player base is when you start to become reminiscent of the model that most console and PC gamers don't like, which is that you start to adopt the mobile model, right? The where you got whales and people who play these card based games like the Dragon Ball one and some of the Final Fantasy ones and so on and so forth, and it's like you start to realize, hey, if I'm not out here spending you know hundreds of dollars or sometimes thousands of dollars like some of these people, I'm just going to get my ass whooped, despite you being good at the game, understanding the game's mechanics well, and all these things. So you're not technically rewarded for being good at or understanding the game entirely, and it might work in your favor for some of it, but you're going to run into a wall in which those people are going to run you over, and everybody keeps wondering why something like Fortnite, it still remains successful to this day, but yet they have constantly done nothing but improve the game. The game has had now 3 to 4 different updates graphically, and yet the only thing. Oh, and then the mechanics. The mechanics have changed. They've become interesting. You might not love them all, but per season the mechanics have changed. In the game, they introduced no build mode, which brought a lot of people to the game that didn't like the building. And it brought me back because the building was cool, but it was not really an aspect I really liked. So, and tons of people I know played a bunch of Fortnite ever since the no build mode came out. Um, or zero build is what its proper name is. But this is what I'm talking about. Focusing on improving your game, giving people tons of options, the creative mode, all these things that a game like Fortnite has that a lot of people like to inherently hate on Fortnite, but ultimately there's no disparaging differences between someone starting today and myself. There's nothing that stops you from being just as good as I am. You could pick up the sticks, or the mouse and keyboard today and still shoot someone that's been playing for 3 or 4 years. Like a lot of these games, like I said, they don't respect your time, or they put you so far behind that it's frustrating, and you have to spend X amount of money or this, that, and the third. And it's like a lot of them are just not paying attention to all this stuff, or they're not updating the games enough to keep up with what a live service game needs, which is another frustration. Um, that a lot of people don't really understand how massive of an undertaking a live service game is to support, one that truly want to do well. Speaking from experience, playing, like I said, I played Destiny 1 literally the entirety from day one, all the way to the very end. And it was honestly its very best in the end with the Taken King update. Um, and ultimately it was largely because they kind of relinquished control, um, and listened entirely to the player base, and let us play. They adopted a philosophy where it was play how you want and still be rewarded just as much as anyone who played any other thing, whether you wanted to PvP, whether you wanted to be a raider, whether you wanted to just do your dailies and get things done throughout the week or your weeklies and so on and so forth, and you could still level up, right? Um, it comes back to the balancing act of respecting your time in these games, but also, like I said, making them good. Like, so some of them are definitely dying because they just weren't good. The crossfire and stuff like that dropping.
Oh yeah,
Personally,
I forgot about
yeah,
Crossfire. That's
crossfire's
also a game
dropping.
that
Uh,
died.
and then we talked about bringing Back for Blood. Back for Blood had a really, really, really bad launch. Some people enjoyed the co-op and stuff, but the game had really bad balancing issues. The single player progression in that game didn't work for about 2 or 3 months, which completely stopped me from playing it because I
Mm-hmm.
couldn't progress on my own in order to become better and earn cards for the game, to play with people who were playing together. So it's like we always had to constantly play together. The game was a mess. It was like normal mode was way harder than it should have been. Like there was just so much mess going on with that game. And again, it's on the chopping block now as a game that's just no longer going to receive any more updates in a very short span of time. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, you're just running into so many issues. Hey, what's up, Salty? Um, yeah, so yeah, like I said, all of them are ultimately running into that issue. Whether, like I said, whether it's lack of content, bad monetization, or the combination of the two, and both of those
Mm-hmm.
will kill your live service game very, very quickly. Um, so yeah,
So
I
I
mean,
have
you
a
gotta learn.
question. I have a question. I have a question. What do you do about people like Persona that actually invest his time and energy and money in this type of game and support them? Like he did it with Avengers. He did it with what you call it, um, Babylon 4. Clearly, so clearly, there are genuine gamers that want live service games to work, but it seems to me like developers all they care about is money and not actually making good content. And when they do, you get a situation like Babylon 4. Because apparently, I never played Babylon 4, but I watched Persona and Body play it. And if they say something, I believe it because I trust their gaming take. When they say that they did something different, then that game should have thrived.
Now,
Persona, 1 second. Persona, can you tell us in your mind why Babylon Fall died? And not because of lack of players, but basically yes. But why did that lack of players? Is it because of the entire concept of live service, or did it have balancing issues and all that stuff. I'm genuinely curious. Viper, you want to say something?
So when you ask Innate the question of well, I know you directed at both of us. The question of what a longtime person who has been playing Destiny, such as Persona, what the question that I want to ask is, what are you asking? Should they get some sort of I would say reparations for the place for the system shutting down, or do they get like a parting gift, or do they still get to play the game on their own time? What is the exact question you were trying to ask?
Mm, Um. Okay. So. Look. How do I say this? Um.
But the reason why I'm asking is because, as
Yeah.
far as I know, when a site shuts down their shit, that's it. You lost whatever money you put into it.
Yeah. You absolutely do. And me. So for me, it's like not only is it money thrown away, it's also time and energy thrown away. But for me, it's also about now you no longer own the game. It's gone forever. It feels weird, man, that developers or other publishers have that in their hand. However, with single player games, yes, it can be crappy. Yes, it can be game breaking, but you still own that game and you can still play it.
Well,
So I
yeah,
have another question.
I was gonna say, I think what you're running into is something you kind of inherently have to accept, right? Um, and I'll explain why. So, one of the things for me specifically that differs from a lot of people in our more console focused gaming community that we're in is that I've been playing MMOs since like the mid to late 90s, right? One of the things you have to accept is that we played and tried a bunch of MMOs back then. I have played more MMOs than pretty much anyone I've ever met. Um, just like that, like I said, that's largely why I don't really care to play them now. While everyone's, playing baby's first MMO nowadays with usually Final Fantasy 14 or a number of these, which have rightfully so been great. Um, but you have to accept that with a lot of these games, eventually, when they do inevitably shut down whatever you've put into those games, that you're going to lose whatever you put in, whether that's that time and effort or so on and so forth. um, and eventually, the same thing with Destiny, right? Destiny 1 stopped. You don't get any more benefit from playing Destiny 1 going into Destiny 2. And if Destiny 3 is a thing, most likely you'll get that inherent moment to moment benefit when that transition and that handoff happens, and it'll be another entity all on its own, right? You kind of have to come in with that in mind. The problem with, I think you're looking at more so nowadays is like how short lived a lot of these experiences are. Um, you said it, there was one MMO in particular that I played, and I don't think it actually exists anymore, but we played it for about 5 or 6 years. Um,
Paragon?
no, this is not something you would recognize. But Paragon's not a MMO, by the way. Paragon
Oh yeah, it's a battle royale.
Paragon is a
Yeah.
mobile. It's a MOBA game. It's a
Mm.
battle arena. Um, but yeah, like I said, you ultimately have to accept that what you're playing, you kind of enjoy it as it is and invest as you want to, and as much as you want to. And that's why I said I think the key nowadays with a lot of this stuff is really just respecting your time spent in a lot of these games, and not making you feel like, oh man, I had to put in so much and got back so little. Like I said, it's a very delicate balance, right? Like I said, for me, I made a choice, and I still think Destiny 2 is a solid game, right? Which is why it still survives. Um, but the community largely does have to complain about a ton of stuff to get things done in that game. Um,
Yeah, I heard Destiny 2 have a lot of balancing issues.
Well, yeah, there's a ton of balancing issues. Um, and again, one of the biggest things that you'll understand from people who play D1, again, when I say the Taken King, when I say they listened to everything we wanted, I really mean that. Rather than nerfing stuff and constantly trying to rebalance stuff, they literally just turned everything up. Like every gun was viable. You could run a scout rifle. You could run a pulse rifle. You could literally run whatever the hell you wanted.
Yeah,
As long
shouldn't
as you were good
that
with it, you were good to go.
yeah, shouldn't that be a thing? Like, why should you be punished for liking to play stealth or liking to be a sniper? I believe every game should be, having balance well in sense of no matter what you play as, it's all about your own skill and not the what do we call it, the character build that you make.
Well, yeah, and then like I said, largely what happens with these games is we're talking about multiple different types of live service games, right? Destiny is one where you kind of Destiny does have a pretty crazy amount of monetization, even on top of the fact that you pay for the expansion, kind of upfront, but there's still, availability to spend more money, cosmetically though, and that's the key is that you know people are not paying thereafter that expansion to get certain guns or other stuff away from you. Everything then exists on the player's own merit and what you do to play. But like I said, in that case, it's up to them to kind of balance how they want that time to be spent, right? The biggest thing that people are losing nowadays is time. These games have to you need a lot of these games you need to be able to jump in for an hour or so or half an hour and feel like you can get something done. And a lot of these games didn't really think that through. That was a huge problem for me for Back for Blood. They had no checkpoint system and a bunch of other stuff, and each run was very, very long. So like, if I just wanted to hop in and like get it going real quick, and maybe run like a single part of the level, when I came back to the game later, we're gonna have to start over again. So these are the things that
Mhm.
like I say a lot of them are missing. They're missing these short sessions versus long sessions, and this is why you see certain things like Destiny thrive a little bit more because at least at the very least, it has a variety of activities that you can do no matter how much time you have on your hands. The longest usually being the raid, depending on the team you run with. But even then, if you get really good, again, the raid goes from taking you 3 to 4 hours to taking you 35 minutes because your team is really good, you're well oiled, and you go in and you smash it real quick and you get great rewards. So that
Mhm.
game definitely benefits your skill really, really well. Where Destiny, like I said, in my case, I had to stop playing Destiny because it was taking too much time to
Yeah,
keep up with the way they were designing quests and stuff like that. Like guns had like 57, 57 steps to get this new exotic gun because they
mhm.
made a quest that was really long and people loved it, right? And then they
Yeah,
started making a bunch of quests for guns that were really long. And it's like, well, I don't have time to do that plus play all these other games. And that's the part where I say, they got to be careful about respecting your time. You don't want, only the people who have a ton of time to dedicate to that one game to benefit while someone who has, a little less time feels so far behind that it's frustrating. And that's that weird, like I said, delicate balance with everything. Um, and then some of the games like you brought up, like the Knockout City and a couple of the other games, they just literally don't have enough content. They have one thing going for them, one gimmick or whatever, and then they don't really go beyond that. So yeah,
you can
largely
play it just so much before you get bored with it. You mean?
exactly. And that was very much Knockout City, right? It was flavor of the month for a lot of PC gamers. They hopped on, people streamed it, they went crazy with it real quick. I saw that game nowhere in a month. Like that, and that's what's happening with a lot of these games. They're hot for the month, they're new, they're shiny. Ooh, let's hop on this game and go cray cray with it. And that's the same thing. And sometimes it's enough of a benefit that these companies really, really and truly benefit from it, right? You've got things like Fall Guys. Fall Guys, still has its cosmetic monetization, but it was hot for a minute, and some kids and stuff still kind of maybe hop on it here and there, but for the most part you don't see Fall Guys on your timeline anymore, right? Like it's just gone
I think
ultimately.
Yeah,
All guys
Even
He
what's his
disappeared.
name?
Yeah.
What's his name? Shuya Shida used to post content about Fall Guy.
well for I avoid games as a service like the plague because I hunt for trophies. I'm pretty sure most trophy hunters do so because you can't go to the next game's trophies if you're stuck on another if you're stuck on one. Um, but
Very true.
I'll say semi trophy hunting because I don't do the jumping or the stroking, pause, whatever. Um, those games. So the one I do play, GT7. Um, I speaking from experience with playing GT7,
Hmm.
I noticed that when GT7 came out, it was pulling me away from other games that I wanted to play. It's that good.
Yeah.
Uh, Never once spent any money on anything in game because you can win most of the cars through the races.
Agreed.
Um, but with that being said, GT7 can take that microtransaction shit and toss it out the window because I don't give a shit whether that's in there or not because I'm just going to play the game. I would prefer it not be in there because I would get the GT7, platinum it, and then move on.
Yeah.
Um, However, I know some people love the aesthetic of games like Destiny, Roblox, and stuff like that, where you can continue to go on and play, especially if you are a person who's kind of short on cash and got your game that you want to play and you pick it out. I tell you one thing: when I played NBA 2K21, when the PlayStation 5 first came out, I was like, hell yeah, I'm gonna get into this basketball thing like back when I was playing Live 96 back in the day.
Hmm.
Well, I hopped on that bitch. I went to the park and everybody was 99. And I was 63. I thought I was going to work my way up. So I played the game for about 4 months,
Yeah.
going through the season. And I went from 63 to 67. I was like, there's no way in hell I can catch up with these people that are 99s without paying money. So that kind
So
of
they
fell.
pay money, right?
Oh, a lot.
Yeah,
A lot of them do. But what
Yeah.
happened? What happened was you ran into the problem with that game and that community, right? And you ran into the people who only play that
that game.
game. Yeah, they play that game and maybe COD or something, right? You ran into
Yep.
those guys, and largely what happens with them, which is their fault, and it sucks because they're often either not as informed as us, who play a bunch of other games, or they only play those games so they don't care, until it gets so egregious, which I think 2K22, I saw a ton of people who streamed it professionally and stuff actually kind of boycott the game coming towards the end. And I guess 2K kind of capitulated a little bit with 2023 and brought a lot of people back. But for a while there, for like the last 3 to 4 months of the game, a bunch of people quit because the microtransactions were so bad and how you would level your character was so bad. And basically, the only way to really do it was, like you said, currency, the VC, um, and which is why you find people buying the 100 or 150 or $200 edition, and then they turn around and spend 100 to 150 or $200 on VC. Now this game 2K just costs you $300 to $400 because you want to jump in and you want to get your My Park guy to 99 real quick and jump in and go crazy because that's all people were really playing was My Park. Um, and it also convoluted and changed a bunch of other systems in the game as well. For the record, the it also started to kind of bleed into and affect the campaign mode because I did try the campaign mode and it was incredibly complicated. Um, so yeah, definitely you can run into these monetization systems bleeding into games that used to be more simplistic, where you could just jump in. I remember for years I played Madden, occasionally, and NBA 2K, or like you said, like Live 96, Live 98. Back in the day, you could jump in, play, make your little created character,
Mhm.
and play a whole campaign or whatever, win the championship, maybe whatever, and just kind of have a ball with it. But like now everything is so restricted because it's all meant to tie together to the part of the game that they know they is monetized the most, which is like in 2K's case, My Park. In FIFA's case, you've got the Ultimate Team. All these games start to the single player aspect starts to become interfered with based on the monetization of the game,
So
and that's
I
what
got a
starts to
question.
happen. Hmm.
Do you think they could not essentially make two different copies, but make a monetization copy and then make a single player copy without the monetization and see which one takes off.
I mean,
Hmm.
it would be interesting, but I know they won't do it largely because they have such separated player bases, like
Mm-hmm.
away from us who play so many games, um, that it doesn't affect them. So I know they don't care.
Yeah.
Like I said, like I was telling somebody the other day, my friend wanted to ask me about getting an Xbox Series X, not because largely just because it's the latest thing. He could play the same games he plays on PlayStation, because all he really wants to do is play uh, Call of Duty and 2K. That's all he really plays, right? Um, so again, he does the same thing that we were talking about. He just gets it, my park, focus on making that player, and go from there. Um, yeah, exactly, Bird. That I was the same way. I got away from it the moment the VC got into my park and stuff like that and got crazy because they saw how lucrative it was and they made it worse and worse year over year, every year, and went from there. So yeah, that I mean
Um,
that's the
I
problem.
for me when I this was my moment when I realized Game of Live Service are canker. Mind you, I never played that game and I never will.
Hmm.
It's about Halo. When two things. First of all, when the beta was running, they had the store up. Instead of focusing on what actually mattered, the game, they actually had the microtransaction store up running in beta. That's how you know you're focusing on the wrong crowd. Second, when they actually punished you for playing the game. You start off with, let's say, getting 10,000 XP. I've, after match 3 or 4, I forgot how it went, but it went as such. And impersonating. The more you play, the less experience you gained.
Yeah, there's definitely games that have done that. They
Who,
know you'll play more, so they kind of
who,
they use the excuse that you're leveling up, so it's harder to level each level. Even though the levels are not particular to the performance of the character, it's more so akin to something like the battle pass or something in that case, which makes you. The idea is to increase engagement, make you play longer, and kind of go from there. That's ultimately
who,
what they're trying to do.
who is in right mind would ever do that, dude? Like, nah. And now you're not only you're not respecting my time, that the persona was this, you're actually insulting me. You're telling me if I invest in your game, you're gonna treat me like like I don't matter. Cause now you're screwing up with my time.
Well,
That one,
you're a statistic, is what you are. You're a number.
yeah, I am a statistic. I'm a
How
number.
many
Yep.
numbers can I keep in this game? You know, and how long can I keep them engaged? They basically look at it the way some YouTubers are with their numbers. YouTube becomes less of a passion and more of a numbers game for some people. And it's like, oh well, I only got 100,000 on this. I got 2.3 million when I did this, so I'm gonna do more 2.3 million videos, which is understandable. I mean, if you do it full time, right? But you a bunch of people may have followed them for that original content that may generate 100,000 or 300,000 or whatever. Um, so then they run the risk of becoming pigeonholed in their focus on that because it made them the most money, which is ultimately what happens with a lot of these games. What's making us the most money? Um, which I said can be kind of dangerous, right? Because then you can become very focused on that one aspect and neglect other parts of the game. Like we mentioned with 2K, a bunch of us that used to just enjoy playing it or jumping in my park or creating a character and just kind of jumping in and playing the game. Now, the complexity, um, I, I was able to like game share NBA 2K23 NBA 2K23 was so complicated looking, just trying to play through like the campaign and a bunch of other stuff, and because of all this advertising and all this other stuff going on, that I ultimately just shut the game off and deleted it. And this is coming from me who has played games for the past 30 plus years and was just immediately turned off from all these systems in place. And again, someone who not only just plays games but often enjoys the more complex games, and yet it bothered me how overly complicated this game was, because ultimately, you know, the game is meant to just drown you in a bunch of activities and force you ultimately and kind of direct you into my park, which, like I said, is then largely dependent on VC, despite no matter how much you play the game, especially if you want to be a competitive player within the game.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, there's a combination of reasons, like I said, that we talked about why they're failing, but ultimately, a lot of these ones are just a prime example of, hey, how fast can we cash in on this, and how little do we have to support this, and versus the player base that's coming to these structures, and all of them ultimately failed. Like I said, they were all hot for a month or two, and now you're witnessing a bunch of shutdowns all at once from a bunch of these games launching. But to ultimately answer your original question, like, I mean, are we going to see a drop in live service games? No, not really. I think you're just going to see a lot like the mobile market, right? You played mobile. You're going to watch a bunch of people drown and two or three people succeed.
Yep. There's gonna be a handful that's gonna be really good, and then the rest are gonna be like, "Me too. I want some," and then they try to jump in and fall off.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So that's just where it's headed.
Okay. Um, Shout out to Bert. Um, let's jump to our next topic. It yeah. Before we do so, when it comes to games live service, suck for the developer to restock, but at some point, developer gonna need to look out single player games, or rather, developers and publishers need to look at single player games and why it's more important to do a single player game and not what we call it, game of live service. And my fear, PlayStation gonna fall in that same trap. It's very difficult to create a good live service game that keeps your attention span. Maybe what you call it, Last of Us faction gonna be it. We will see.
Well,
Um.
I will say the one thing that I hope they're very, very mindful of and careful of with the Last of Us factions is one of the biggest things that turned, um, us away in the end. And Fox, Priscilla, she was a big, big factions player. She was like over level 600 or 800 or something by the time she stopped, right? One of the things that turned her away the most was when guess what they did? Guess what Naughty Dog finally did? They introduced new weapons to the game that were purchasable. And
Mm,
that was the only way you could add them to your arsenal, was if you bought them. And this is what I keep saying, people need to be careful about. You need to be careful about creating imbalances in your game based on monetization. Again, bring it I keep bringing it back to Fortnite, but everybody keeps questioning why it's so successful. I keep telling people there is no gap between you and other players other than skill. So you just need to get better. But you can jump in the game, have zero cosmetics, and be just as successful, if not more successful, than plenty of people who have 100 skins or 200 skins or 300 skins. It's literally all just cosmetic. No one in the game has an advantage over you, from monetization. That is the biggest key and takeaway I can tell people. And like I said, their other focus being just constantly making the game better, keeping the game, updated with a solid set of variety, and just really constantly reinvesting in that game and that world. Like I said, with the constant visual updates, the constant mechanic updates they've given people, and multiple modes and levels of freedom they've given people to be able to play creative, to be able to play player versus environment.
And
You know,
the I
hmm
think I know why you can't actually redeem it.
you talking about Chris?
My bad. My bad. I'm talking to my daughter.
Oh,
Sorry.
you're good. You're good. But
What are you talking about?
no, I think he was talking to his daughter about. I think he was talking
Oh,
about
oh, I got
the
you.
redeemable
Okay,
code
got
or
you, got
whatever.
you, got
But yeah, like I said, I mean that's all it really is ultimately in the end. But yeah, we can run over to the next topic. I'm ready to go.
you. Okay, yeah. Redfall. Feel free to correct me in it. Or rather, feel free to elaborate yourself.
Hmm.
Is it a Game of Light service, or is it a game like Borderlands? Uh, it's a single player game with online components. Cause I really don't know a lot about Redfall. What can you tell me? Cause apparently you can only play it with online service always on.
Yeah, so I mean they did kind of hint at it being a looter shooter. I think I think probably what kind of happened with that is they over emphasized the whole looter shooter thing. Um, Largely because what you can see in what they showed us that a lot of the characters are locked to specific weapon loadouts and kind of skill trees and stuff like that. Um, so it's like a lot of them largely benefit from certain weapon types or are kind of locked down to the specific weapons that they have. At least in what they showed us, that could change, once the game launches or whatnot. Um, but so far, it's looking like it's entirely going to be more so gas focused and not so much focused on the loot like they stated. Per example, like you said, Borderlands, which is a massive, looter shooter. You go in and it's literally all about the guns, the variations that you can pick up, and the way you can get creative with the builds surrounding your weapons and your shield and all these great aspects of it. Um, so I think they might have just got carried away with that. I think we'll see where the game is at right now. It looks like a very bare minimum system when it comes to loot. Maybe that'll
Mm-hmm.
change by the time it launches. Maybe that was just their intent to only show just a bit in that little slice that we got to see. I mean, we'll know more once we see it, but yeah, definitely with the online always requirement, it's definitely looking a lot more closer to something being gas related, but we won't really know how they intend to support it for the length of the game or the community until they really launch it because they haven't really spoken much about uh, how they plan to go about that. So yeah.
Well, two things that comes to mind when it comes to always online. Once again, GT7. Uh, I remember when GT7 had
You're
problems
traumatized, eh?
with their servers. Holy crap! I wanted to punch holes in walls because I'm like, I can't play my game. I get, but thank goodness we have other games to play. I calmed down and I went to those other games till GT7 came back online. But because that happened with GT7, I'm almost 150% positive I will never do an always online game again. I do not like that feeling. I hate that feeling. Now, what they need to do is games like, oh, I don't know, God damn it, I'm drawing a blank. The Kojima game, Death Stranding, where
Death
you
Stranding.
Yeah.
where you get to choose whether you want to be offline or online. They need games like that. That way you can, now whether that would affect the monetization, I don't know. But I know with Death Stranding, when I chose to be online, people had ladders and shit out there that I used and gave them likes and thank yous. But then when I turned it offline, I did just as well. It was a little bit harder because people wasn't leaving me shit to cross, but I feel as though if there's an option, that would be better.
Well, I think what you're
Mm-hmm.
focusing on is the other problem with gas, right? Is that sometimes a game can tell you, hey, you can play by yourself, But if it's so apparent that your experience is so bad
Hmm.
offline that it feels unplayable, then it's clearly, just a joke, to kind of play that way.
Well,
Um,
question:
you
do
know.
games actually do that? Because I know Death Stranding, if you played online, it was easier,
hmm
but when you played offline, it wasn't that much harder. It was just a
No,
little bit harder.
you could still completely survive
Yeah.
on your own
Mm-hmm.
playing that. That was a really good example of a very helpful version of being online that was not really incredibly invasive
Uh
for
huh.
you. But like you said, you can make any of your journeys or any of your trips just fine on your own. Um, but that was a really awesome version of I forget what they call it. I think it was asynchronous multiplayer or something. It has a really specific name, but basically, people playing in tandem with you, assisting or helping you without uh, basically without interfering in your world directly.
Yeah. True.
They're not doing it for you, they're doing it for everyone. But everyone, all these people are benefiting, and you don't know who they are or whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But it's going to just create a shared experience, basically.
Okay.
And Death Stranding did that incredibly well. But the key, you said, right, is that even though it was a little bit different of an experience, you ultimately could play entirely offline and still be fine. And that's the key with a lot of these things. And that's the part where, like I was telling Karaba at one point, I think PlayStation is going to go with some of these games, right? These live service games that we're hearing about, and they're not going to be the traditional live service multiplayer focused games
I see what you're saying.
that we're getting at. They're going to go more something like Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Like I said, Assassin's Creed Valhalla is completely playable offline if you want to. Um, but if you play online, there's a bunch of free benefits and free updates they gave and things like that. But the key, right, Assassin's Creed Valhalla is probably double the size it started as, because if you have all the DLC and you have all the things that they've added, on top of
Hmm.
all the free content and the paid content, they have done nothing but consistently update the game in a way that it mimics a live service game, but it is a single player game. So what all it did was extend the life of Assassin's Creed to 3+ years, because here's this game you already really like that had a sound structure, and they've added things to the game I wasn't even sure was possible. You got weapons now that can shoot water, you got laser swords, you got all kinds of stuff. Now don't get me wrong, that can aesthetically break the mold, but then again, they added transmog. Transmogrification allows you to use those weapons and go, hey, I don't want to look that way. I don't want my laser weapon to look like a laser. I want to stay very Nordic or whatever, right? And it doesn't have to break your immersion in the game. So you can still utilize those items and make them look like they fit the world, if that's your preference. Um, so yeah, I think you're going to see a lot of that going forward.
Mm-hmm. So, my question for you is this an L or not for Redfall being always online?
I mean, honestly,
Or it's not?
it depends on, like I said, how badly it could affect the game, right? Like Viper said, he ran into instances where there's server problems. It could cause problems while you're even playing solo, right? Um,
Mm.
like that's a problem, or you can't play the game at all. So that's really where the problem comes in. I definitely think they need an offline mode. I don't really see why a game that looks this way wouldn't have some form of an offline mode. Uh, I mean, I think it would be better if they would explain it, to be honest. Whether or not it's to try and prevent cheating or whatever. There's a number of reasons why it could be. I just think it's an L in the regards as far as like the potential issues it could cause. And what I mean by that is stuff that we've encountered over the years, like he said, not being able to play GT7 because it was online. But we know at least the reason for GT7 being online is largely because they were trying to be, I forget the name of the organization, like FIA certified or something, which basically they needed to see your times and basically have a recording or be able to see everything everybody was
I
doing.
think it's because of the weather effect.
Well, it wasn't the weather effects. It was literally the what do you call it? Like I said, the regulations. In order
Mm-hmm.
to have the regulatory body basically recognize Gran Turismo as a like a certified track simulator,
Oh,
um,
license,
yeah, like
licenses.
the licensing and stuff for that, um, to basically be a part of that organization and be recognized, they needed it to remain online to basically be fair, right? So that
Mm-hmm.
you can't cheat on something that is server side constantly, right? But if there's an offline version or something, you might be able to activate infinite turbo or do other kinds of weird cheats, right? Um, so that's kind of where that was. So I get some of it to a point, but like I said, no offline mode often creates problems because yeah, they might have a 95% or 98% uptime, but that frustration that is very apparent, to us online when a service does go down, right? Because you see the complaints all over YouTube, right? Or not YouTube, but
Mm-hmm.
Twitter,
Twitter.
Twitter, like it's
The
down,
moment
down.
something goes down, and it's like
Yeah.
this is my one time this week. I really wanted to play Gran Turismo, and the freaking
Mm-hmm.
servers are down. Or now that the servers went down and
Yeah.
they came back up, I lost my data, and my data is not stored
Yeah.
locally. So now you probably can't even contact the Gran Turismo team. I'm not saying that's happened. I'm just saying there are instances where these things do happen, where dealing with it becomes that much harder because everything is server side, which again is something that MMO players are used to because nothing is stored on your computer. The game's data is stored on your computer, their hard drive or whatever, but everything is based on this online profile that you have. Everything is tied to it, and MMOs are an online only experience, right? And they've had those for years. And like I said, you run into issues where even Destiny. I've gone tried to get on Destiny plenty of times when I did play, run into a server error, um, and stuff like that. So yeah, online always online can be a problem. It may or may not for some people, but then we also know people like Sanctus, specifically, who has really low internet connectivity. So the performance of the game could be a problem for her because there's no offline option. So she may be able to progress really well offline and
Oh
play,
yeah,
you know?
I watched her play Call of Duty offline performance wise.
Hmm.
Damn. Her
Yeah,
internet was dog shit.
yeah, and it sucks because in this day and age, it's kind of expected for people to have a decent internet connection, but there are a large number of people, including the United States. This isn't like a non first world problem or whatever. This is everywhere. There are so many
Mhm.
places that don't have decent internet connectivity in the United States alone. Never mind the rest of the world.
I
Um,
was
you know,
shocked that USA didn't have good internet like that. That shocked me.
Yeah, our internet infrastructure is largely actually not really all that good, um, or we have very few options. There's, like I said, there's tons of rural areas and stuff that don't have good internet connectivity. So there's tons and tons and tons and tons of people who just do not have the option to specifically be done that way. Now, if it's certain systems, like I know they're talking about Hogwarts having something similar. Um, and always online, but the connectivity doing something with the saving system, if it's to do with like, cross progression or something, and your save being uploaded or something, like I don't think that's ever going to really be an issue. But let's say like, if you not being able to play a single player game, in the instance of Hogwarts or something, that's kind of crazy to me. If
Hmm.
it's that method, but like I said, we just don't know yet what exactly it consists of because so far what I've read, it sounds like in that game's case, the always online is specifically related to game saves and stuff like that, which could benefit you because ultimately, if your stuff is in the cloud, you're never going to lose that data. Um, so yeah, it just depends. If you have perfect
Hmm.
internet connection all the time, cool. I mean, I have one of the most stable internet connections I know of, and my internet is 600 Mbps, which is way more than any most people need. Um, but even I have plenty of nights where I'm watching something or streaming something, and my internet might go out. I've had times where my internet last year went out multiple times for an indeterminate amount of time. At one point, for like 2 or 3 days. You know what I mean? Like that level of frustration when not only does my job depend on me being online, um, but not being able to play online, like it's a mess. When you see
Mhm.
how much everything you have depends on you being online in some capacity. So yeah,
Mhm.
it could harm it, but like I said, if they do it right, it won't harm it any more than something that's an MMO. Because like I said, MMOs are online experiences only. So you can't get online, you can't play. Um,
Mhm.
but we don't really know how it'll pan out, server wise. If all their servers are up and they're all good to go, 99% uptime, nobody will really care.
Gotcha. Anything you want to add, Viper?
No, he pretty much hit it on the head. An L or not depends on if it's available when you need it or when you want to play it.
Gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. With that being said, let's jump to the next topic. And by the way, till today, nothing rivals Borderlands concept. How it's also drop in, drop out, and you can drop in anywhere you want.
Yeah.
Well, no, in specific areas, but you can teleport, you can do all that jazz while your your what we call it, your mate is in a different planet. Like that till today never been topped. And the fact that you can actually play at a level 1 with a level 50 friend, and you're fighting a level 1 enemy and he is fighting a level 50 enemy while you guys are co-oping, like Borderlands not only doesn't get enough credit, it's absolutely not appreciated the way it should be. Would you agree?
I mean, I think it is by the people who played it, but yeah, I think to be fair, most people who don't really appreciate it or understand it truly are people who just haven't played it. As I still constantly meet people every time a new Borderlands comes out, a ton of people that have never played a Borderlands game. So
It,
yeah, I think it's
it,
more so just lack of knowing. So a lot of people haven't had that experience. So if you don't know what you don't know, you know.
it, it's crazy though what it's offering though. That's the crazy part. It, it's like developers around the world, why are you not paying attention to what Borderlands is doing and implement some of that?
Well, I think largely it's just a massive undertaking. Like Borderlands is a huge project. Um, with it has a very refined palette in the way that they do things, and I just think honestly a lot of devs are almost afraid of creating a game on that scale. Um, do I think we'll ever get a challenger? Yeah, sure. I think we will. Um, because obviously the looter shooter area or genre has been really, really lackluster. Um,
Yeah,
yeah, there's been little zero to no competition. And at one point we kind of had a bunch of people trying it, but then you run into just not enough loot. You can't be a looter without enough loot. Like,
yeah,
so Borderlands became the undisputed king, and at some point people just stopped challenging them, which sucked because I really, really enjoy a good looter and stuff like that. And now, not that you don't get any, but you get it in different forms. There's just going to be no direct challenger to that. But another one that is a looter focused game are CRPGs, which now um, or isometric RPGs like Diablo, which is why those games have become bigger now because they've taken those games that used to be PC focused, and Diablo had its first run with Diablo 3 on consoles, and they did it really well. And now you got a ton of people looking forward to that looter, which is essentially what it is,
mm-hmm,
that looter RPG mechanic, and getting a taste of that, and you're gonna get a lot of that in Diablo 4. Um,
mm-hmm.
so hopefully they do it really well, and I think you're gonna just see more instances like that going forward rather than direct challengers to
No.
Borderlands style. It's just I don't
Mm.
think anybody's gonna brave that market directly. They're just gonna do it indirectly with stuff like I said, like Diablo or Dead Island, which just popped up on the screen. Dead Island's another good example of a game that was about getting loot, customizing it, and beating the brakes off of zombies. And you're gonna do that more than ever in Dead Island 2. So that's
Mm.
why I said I think you'll see it. It's just no one's ever gonna quite do it with the combination and craziness of of
Borderlands?
Borderlands. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
It. By the way, we played Borderlands from the OG one. You can actually see the progression if you play through one, two, three, and the sequel and pre-sequel and all that jazz.
Yeah, you definitely
It's
can.
like
It makes a big difference.
no, no matter how much the three dog shit it is, story wise it is in so many ways. It's the best when it comes to gameplay. 3 is the best guns and gameplay out of all three, including the Tiny Keep DLC and the Tiny Keep and all the jazz. But yeah, um, let's move on to the next topic. Microsoft Activision deal has officially received a letter of objection from EU. So it's official. EU have denounced that acquisition. Is the deal in shambles or it can still go through?
Uh,
Nate?
no, I mean I definitely think it could still go through. Um, I mean this might the official letter of rejection doesn't mean they've denied it like it's just done. It's if it was done, we would have heard it's done, right? This is the objection part, right? They look at why they basically got the list, the definitive list from EU saying, "Hey, look, these 47 reasons are why this deal is unacceptable." Like full
Mm-hmm.
stop. If you can't come up with a concession or a reason why these, reasons should be invalidated, then these are the reasons why your deal will not be approved. And then you'll hear about
Oh,
the denial of the approval, or you'll hear about the concessions that Microsoft has made to officially this time, not word of mouth, not that nonsense PR double speaking bullshit they did with Bethesda. Where they're like, it'll
mm.
be a case by case basis, blah blah blah, and then the
I
moment the
think
deal went through, they screwed everybody. Um, so yeah, I mean, I think that it's gonna take a while. It's in their best interest to do it faster because, like I told you about the deal, the longer it goes on, the more money they lose.
yeah, I think after what happened with Bethesda, I truly believe what you call it, companies, not companies, like uh, CMA and all that jazz are now way more highlighted and focused on deals like that. Cause I don't believe they wanted the Bethesda deal to go through. I truly believe they believe Microsoft. Because remember, Microsoft was touting stuff like case by case basis and we're not gonna take away games and all that jazz. And we just found out that Hi-Fi Rush is a game that was taken off PlayStation. Starfield is a game that was taken off PlayStation.
Yeah, I mean, they clearly have no problem doing that, right? Like I said,
Yeah,
anybody saying that they wouldn't is just saying whatever they again a lot like the executives from Activision and Microsoft. They're just saying whatever they think is going to essentially get these deals to go through.
yeah. And I think
Yeah,
CMA and all the other organizations are truly not buying it anymore. What do you want to say, Viper? Oh,
No,
um,
I
yeah,
was about to say, yeah. With the stipulations, with hello, can you hear me?
yeah.
yeah. We hear you. You're live.
Hello. Okay. Yeah. With the stipulate with the stip with
You cut off?
Yeah, I think it might be trouble on his side.
The
Yeah.
list of stipulations are
Ooh.
available. I mean, no, it could be
Wait, wait,
no, it's me.
wait.
I'm driving,
Viper,
so that's why I might be
Viper.
cutting it out.
Okay, go ahead. Try again.
Yep. Yeah, I'm driving, so I'm gonna be cutting it out. I'm actually
It
picking
sounds
up
like
food
it
now.
sounds like you're good right now. I think you were just going through a bad
Yeah,
spot.
it
So you were
sounds
saying with the
good right now.
stipulations.
Oh, with the stipulations that they put into place for them to say for it to be approved or not, I have no doubts that as soon as the last thing get tied up and they go, okay, so you did this, you did that, all right, you're good to go. You can buy it. They're gonna take the games away. I mean, it's that simple. They have wording. They have like lawyers that do wording that will fucking do mega flips so that they can actually do make the games exclusive. I mean, there's no way in hell they're going to make the games exclusive and then they get sued and they get took and the company gets taken away because some wording in the contract. That wording is going to be ambiguous. Trust me. You could bet that.
Yeah, I think that's why I think that I don't believe they want the deal to go through. I think they learned from the Bethesda one. They truly believe Microsoft was the Bethesda one.
Well, like I said, whether or not they believe him, like the CMA stated, nothing they stated publicly is of a legal binding method, right? Like, there's nothing legally binding them to commit what they said with Bethesda. So that's why I said
They did
now,
though.
no, they didn't. Not legally. They didn't sign anything. They didn't sign on no dotted
Oh,
line.
okay, fair
Yeah,
point. It was
yeah.
that word.
Yeah,
Okay, I got you.
just
I got
words. You know, they're like, oh well, I mean, yeah, well, well, fuck what we said. You know, we can do what we want because on paper, I never signed a contract to tell you that I would commit to this. You know,
you.
I just told you
Hmm.
some nonsense and you believed me, and now I'm taking it
You're
back.
the sucker.
Yeah,
You're the sucker for believing me.
exactly.
Gotcha.
Um, so yeah, I think, and this is obviously a much bigger purchase that will affect a massive landscape portion um, of the gaming industry. So, like I said, it's going to be under heavy scrutiny. But do I believe, like what Viper said, that Microsoft isn't trying to wordsmith their way, uh, with some of the best lawyers on the planet in an attempt to, look like they're appeasing the deal, only to turn around and just be like, oh, look, so in section 3-47, we put a clause that said, if PlayStation does this, then, we don't have to provide them any of the games that were originally in the agreement from now on. Like, I mean, this is why this stuff takes so long, right? You're talking about multiple pages and pages and pages of documents of written legalese that has to be scrutinized and scrutinized again and then looked at again and then looked at by another committee and then looked at by other people because the nature of the beast when it comes to these companies is they're always trying to get away with something. So yeah,
Mhm.
we'll see how good these committees do
Yep.
their job.
And
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Piper.
you're exactly right about that section 1. You're exactly right about that section 1. Article 2. They will pull that shit out. I guarantee you.
Oh yeah, lawyer shit 101. But yeah, that's pretty much where it's at. It's not complicated. We won't know more until, we get more out of the deal. We got to see the rebuttal from Microsoft, and then we'll see where the deal goes from there. Still the waiting game.
Gotcha. Um, I'm genuinely curious how it's going to go. Because I don't think Microsoft can bullshit their way out of this one.
At least not so far.
I, I, for the first time, I actually saw gaming information being thrown out by the CMA and other jazz when they said even when they said deals can be broken and stuff like that. Even if Microsoft, I will never forget that when they said Microsoft can promise Call of Duty to be on PlayStation for 3,000 something, and the deal can still be broken.
Yeah, that was
Like,
the actual woman for the FTC. I can't remember her name right now, but she
Yeah.
stated that, which is true. You know, it shows you her experience in the field, and shows you all the bullshit that she knows companies are capable of to look like they are appeasing what they are requesting from them, only to turn around and do the opposite. But bear in mind that is also the reason why the FTC reserves the right to revisit a case if they feel something is wrong or something was purposely hidden, or basically you lied essentially. And
Mm-hmm.
they reserve the right to revisit it, and they can break the company back up if they believe that things were basically legally taken, or the deal went through in some form of falsehood. So yeah, so they
Um,
definitely got to be careful with that.
hey, we have Kathy. Sup? Welcome. Um, I think we have. Yeah, look, this deal. I just want to be over. Whether good or bad, I am so tired of it. But it's actually putting the entire industry on hold.
It
Like,
is, and that's the real reason we're tired of it.
yeah,
But the problem is, like I said, publicly, you never see these things publicly. This is just a very public battle. Usually, this goes on for time and time and time, and we don't hear about it until it's like in the end stages. But it seems so long because legally, when companies are combining, it takes this long and this much scrutiny. And the bigger the deal, the more scrutiny it has, right? Like I said, this is not even something we're into, but like I told you, here in the United States, at least, I don't know where else they provide service, but when T-Mobile was trying to take Sprint, and Sprint desperately needed it, but Sprint was a massive carrier trying to basically combine or come up under T-Mobile, and they needed it because Sprint was suffering. Their towers, they had phones where people they had single antennas in their phone where people couldn't be on the phone and be on the internet at the same time. It was a mess. But that deal was so big, and it took so many years and so much scrutiny to eventually basically convince the FTC, like, hey, like, this is going to do nothing but benefit their customers and create a better cell phone service for literally everyone on the platform. Now, I mean, some people will probably argue it either did or it didn't, but ultimately it was proven to go through, and it was for the betterment, from what I understand from people who do have T-Mobile, and or Sprint. So, um, yeah, I mean, that's just the nature of what it is when these deals are as big as they are. And honestly, it probably won't close even if it does go through. You still probably won't be closed entirely uh, until 2024. Um, so yeah, I mean, you'll see much more about it going forward because, like I said, just the nature of how public this is. But again, the consumer, won't know anything concrete for quite some time.
gotcha. Um, oh, mm, and hey, Viper, you have anything else to add, or do we move on?
No, we can move on. He covered all of that. He's usually pretty good at
Okay,
covering all angles.
yeah, gaming revenue. So, PlayStation announced that. Give me a second. Where is it?
Their
Okay,
financials.
yeah, here it is. PlayStation announced 7.1 million units of PlayStation hardware sold during the quarter, and the cumulative numbers of units sold by the end of December exceeded 32 million. Based on this result, we have set our sales forecast for the fiscal year at 19 million units. By optimizing uh, our operation, we are expecting every effort to sell as many units as possible to meet the strong demand. they did start off the campaign with letting people know, yeah, we're shipping way more PlayStation now. Um, they said due to the PlayStation 5, um, uh, due to the penetration of PlayStation 5, the percentage of PlayStation 5 users in the number of the monthly active users in December increased to about 30%. Damn. Engagement metric of users who transition from PlayStation 4 to 5, such as their PlayStation Plus subscription rate, gameplay time, and average spending amount, are significantly higher than those when played on PlayStation 4. So clearly, PlayStation 5 is booming. In addition, 30% of PlayStation MAU, so that are engaging with the system, are users who never used PlayStation 4. So with the spread of PlayStation 5, the acquisition of new users is progressing. So this is the key that people need to focus on, that uh, people are not focusing on. Like PlayStation have actually found a way to get more people into their ecosystem.
Oh yeah, I mean
Like
a lot of people saw what was on offer on PlayStation 4, and some of them became interested later, and decided, hey, I am interested in a lot of these games, but I'm gonna wait for the new platform to do so. And I know some people like that. They were curious, and but became more so later, and then now they're sitting on a backlog of a lot of the great games we experienced on the PlayStation 4 generation, and they're getting a lot of the great games we're getting during the PlayStation 5 generation combined, and a lot of them are experiencing a lot of those for the very first time. I've seen quite a few of that. Even some of the fellow podcasters and stuff like that that only had Xbox prior, that are now experiencing PlayStation for the first time, and it's great to see. Um, Another person that I follow specifically on Twitter, he was a big PC gamer, and he had a PS4, and his fiance had got him a PS5 right before Christmas, and now he's just all in. He has taken to playing on his PS5 and loving every moment of it. And this is, like you said, this is the important part. These people who never were interested or investing in PlayStation prior, who are now seeing this product, and the speed of the SSD and all these things, and that's something that entices him because, like I said, PC players have had SSDs and things like that for years. So, to be able to come over and still have this really fast blazing experience, and he's not one that has like a 4090 or anything. I think he recently updated to like a 3060 or a 3060 Ti or something, which isn't a bad thing, or a bad device. But I'm saying, like, comparably, what he's typically seeing or playing, is comparable on his computer, to his PS5 experience. And he has largely just gravitated to that and being able to play on the TV in a very relaxed state and just not worry about it, and has now gone on to purchase I think recently he went to the store and purchased like 12 new games. Some of them, PS4 titles with PS5 upgrades, stuff like that. And he's just going crazy. And I think you're just seeing more and more of that going forward. And, a lot of these people getting to experience what, we talk about all the time when we talk about that PlayStation formula. Whether whichever of those games you like. You don't have to love them all, but there's a ton to choose from, and a lot of those games are exclusive, and a lot of people are just getting their first real go at it. I know he specifically picked up Uncharted, which I know he's gonna love because I know this person is very story driven. They love a great story, character development, so on and so forth, and they're just gonna get to experience that entire, Uncharted, uh, quad set of games, and get that experience, or actually five games because including Lost Legacy. Um, so I think, yeah, PlayStation is just, they need to continue to do what they've been doing, deliver more and more, as we go forward. And I think what you're alluding to is also part of the reason why us, who've already been on the ecosystem, are looking forward to that roadmap up and coming. And I think that's going to entice even more players to come over once they really see what PlayStation is working on firsthand. Because in a full showcase, because PlayStation showcases, especially their E3 level ones, are usually and traditionally just an incredible event with a ton of information, a ton of gameplay. Um, you just get to see a bunch of the interesting ideas and all the things everybody's working on, and PlayStation being largely one of the teams who is in the tech industry at all, who is doing a ton of hiring, while a lot of people are laying people off. They are making their teams bigger and bigger and bigger, um, and spreading the load of game creation, or even giving teams 2 to 3 teams to create multiple projects. So I think it's just going to be a very interesting time, and I think PlayStation, as long as they can stay focused and stay on track, those numbers look really good, and that 53% overall revenue that they posted will just continue to rise, and hopefully get a nice solid variety of games for us who have been on the platform, and some people who are curious or new to the platform.
Gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. Viper is on the road. Um, for me, look, my question for you then, Innate, is as follow. Where are these 30% coming from? Is it Xbox peep? Is it PC peep? Is it Nintendo peep?
Uh, you,
I really
you
wish,
mean the new
I really
people?
wish we could know.
Well, I could tell you where at least 4 or 5 of them are coming from, because I just because I helped them set it up. All Nintendo Switch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you're getting some kids that, in Viper's case, like you said, 4 or 5 of them, they never had anything else, and they all got PS5s for Christmas.
Yep.
Um, so you're getting people who are experiencing that ecosystem for the first time. So I think that's a very, you know, big thing for a lot of these people. Which, bear in mind, is also the importance of a lot of these exclusives and first party titles, because it's just going to show them how much more is on offer, you know, on your platform. And that goes for anything that you purchase, right? If you're looking for a new car, you want to know which one has, the best suspension, which one comes with the best tires, which one has the best warranty. You want to know all these different things or whatever that are going to benefit the reason you're purchasing this thing. Um, so I think just a ton of people are finally giving PlayStation a shot that weren't before, because after the PlayStation 4 generation, there's just too many games that they want to experience, and there's too much for them to ignore. And PlayStation continues to deliver in this generation with one of the strongest launch lineups in history for the PlayStation 5. And a lot of people just realize, hey, even if I play on PC, um, there's a ton that's coming out their day one that I'm not sure whether or not it's coming to PC or not, or how long it is. People don't want to wait. Um, and at first, people might have thought they did and they didn't care. But like I said, now more than ever, you're seeing people kind of cross over more, which is why I stated PlayStation's strategy. It needs to maintain itself within reason with that, nice 2, 3, 4 year gap with their games, because it creates a hunger to want to be a part of this ecosystem. And like I said, some people are finding they even enjoy it more. And I have explained that to people on PC that ask me why I play both. And then they get to experience it. Like I said, like in particular, the person I was talking about that got one from their fiance, he is going crazy with it now. He's buying more games than he ever has, and just really kind of getting back to the enjoyment of gaming um, as a whole, and just kind of separating his experiences between PC and PlayStation a lot, like I do. I buy certain games on PlayStation, certain games on PC, so on and so forth. But he's just getting to see that cohesive experience on PlayStation, where your entire friends list, is front and center. You know, he's enjoying the aspects of trophies. Not a trophy hunter by any means, but you know the presentation of it and seeing how much more important and well displayed it is in comparison to something like Steam, right? Like I said, I don't care. I don't give anything about anything of my achievements on Steam. They're not front and center. They're not a big deal. They don't benefit me at all. They don't do anything. But you know, on PlayStation, they've always been front and center. It's very obvious. It's very well laid out. How many bronze? How many silver? How many gold? How many platinums you have? And you know, people can see that at a glance and just kind of enjoy or see what their friends are playing and stuff like that. And I just think a lot of people are getting that experience for the first time, whether they're coming from Switch, PC, whatever. And a large part of that, again, is played up to the exclusives that PlayStation develops first and foremost. Um, very, very well and optimized for the PlayStation 5. So, yeah, I think you're just seeing the curiosity increase, and you're seeing the general population of gamers increase year over year, which is definitely true. Like I said, I've helped many people pick out a console that have never gamed before, and I'm not talking about like just kids. I'm talking about like 40 year olds and 50 year olds who are like, hey, that looks interesting. Like when you're attracting people who have never gamed in their entire life, um, that's saying something. You know, you're doing something that is showing people, you know, hey, I really got to get into this. I really want to see what this is about, you know. So, I think it's a combination of all that. Their exposure, their marketing, which we're seeing right now as well. You know, the marketing all around the world with these physical huge PS5 showing up and all this viral marketing or whatever they're doing. It's not viral marketing. I forgot what it's actually called. But basically, when you're putting in these physical areas and just doing all this crazy amount of advertising, PlayStation is really just full force, and I think it's going to be a massive increase. I think once they finally do their showcase and people really see, like I said, what they've been working on, I think anybody on the fence is just going to jump all in. So, yeah, I think that's where you're seeing all that growth and where it's coming from.
Gotcha. Viper, you here? Okay, he is
Yeah,
busy. Oh,
no, no, no.
yeah.
I'm here. I'm good.
Yeah, go ahead,
What's
go
up?
ahead. Shoot it. Shoot.
Yeah, as I was stating before, when I was helping my cousins and them set up their stuff, it wasn't just my cousins; it was cousins, and I had friends of friends who, PS5 for the first time. Um, as I was helping them set up, they was all like giving me, uh, not vitriol, but they were saying, "Well, we heard that Xbox had the most power and this and that," and I'm like, "Look, the research is on the internet. The sales are on the internet. Go look it up." But I'm not saying what you should and shouldn't buy, but I believe you made a good choice with me helping you hook this thing up right here. So um, those sales ain't gonna do nothing but skyrocket, especially with all the live PlayStation. This is PlayStation Live. Ooh, ooh, just wait.
Oh yeah, I mean with the launch of Final Fantasy 16, you know, and later in the year, you know, the Final Fantasy 7 remake part 2, and among whatever else PlayStation themselves launch, you know, with the inclusion of Spider-Man 2, like it's just
Wolverine.
yeah. Yeah, it's going to go crazy. And like I said, this is
So,
largely keep in mind, this is largely with us being in the dark about what a lot of teams at PlayStation are actually working on right now. Once they
oh,
actually
yeah.
unleash that beast and give us that true PlayStation level showcase and all
Oh,
the
dude.
news that comes from those usually, once that really gets unleashed and people just see a ton of games that they're going to be interested or want to play, including some multiplayer fans with factions, you know, you're talking about a bunch of reasons why, you know, if you were on the fence, you are no longer. So,
Uh,
yeah.
I believe it's going to be at the level of the 2016 showcase because they haven't shown us anything really, and now that we're about to see, what's unveiled.
I don't think we're gonna see what's unveiled until the deal either go through or doesn't go through.
I agree. I agree.
I truly believe both of them are not gonna show what they have. Well,
I
Microsoft
think
don't.
I think if the deal is still in limbo by June, we're gonna get one. I don't see PlayStation waiting this time until
They
after June. Not
they
specifically E3, but I think they're going to do a showcase by either June or July.
th-
They didn't do one at all last year. I think
yeah.
you're going to have to they're forcing themselves at some point by then where it needs to happen, especially them understanding momentum, um, especially going into the fall and winter seasons, basically enticing people with what's to come, and also what's on offer. Uh, yeah, I think it'll be incredibly important for them to do that, then generate that hype for the upcoming winter seasons when people are inside a lot more and so on and so forth, and just really show
Hmm.
them what they're missing. So I think we're gonna get
Well,
one by then.
I think
I also think it depends on sales. Sales. If they can sell like another 10 to 15 million, like real quick, they're gonna be like, "Fuck it, we need to drop this ad right now."
for me, I think one thing. Um, one when it comes to PlayStation, they got away with God of War, showing only God of War and not showcase. They did that Japan showcase, which was fantastic. Shit ton of new games we got from. Um, they're gonna do the same thing with this one. They already started market. No, 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 no. They haven't started marketing Spider-Man. That's wrong. They put out that fantastic commercial, like PlayStation at their best. Um, we might actually, they might actually involve this year around Final Fantasy 16, Spider-Man 2. What's that other game? Um, Stellar Blade, and and of course the whole VR shenanigans. I think no, no, no. I need to be careful with this one. Us, the hardcore, we don't accept it. We want a showcase. But the casuals are gonna be entertained enough with Hogwarts Legacy and all that jazz that they are not gonna question a showcase. I truly believe PlayStation is not gonna do a single showcase until the deal either goes through or don't go through, because PlayStation is in such good shape, and again, kudos to them for doing it. They built this monster themselves. If people see what they're working on, they're gonna quote want to help the underdog. That's Microsoft, the $1 trillion company. Because that's what PlayStation is fighting, a $1 trillion company. So they have no choice but to hide their content. Because how many times have we not talked about the media bias against PlayStation? We can see it all the time. What would you do if you were PlayStation? Go ahead, Nate. What would you do? Would you hide your showcase or would you do one? Um, Nate is busy. Viper, you here? Viper is busy, so I'm left all alone. Then I'm gonna turn to chat. Chat. What do you guys want? Do you guys want PlayStation to keep hiding their stuff and wait until the deal either goes through or don't go through, or you guys want them to just show what they want, what they have, and wow us like we know they can? Mm-hmm.
Was that question for me?
Yeah, no, the question was for you was, um, oh, you heard me?
I heard, are they going to do what they do? And then you said, so I thought y'all were waiting.
Oh, yeah, no, 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 no. So my question for you was, do you want them to? What would you do if you were PlayStation? Would you do a big showcase and show what you have, or would you hide your stuff so others don't know what you have?
Me personally, I go by my personality because I'm very confident in what I do, and I know the job that I do is always an excellent job, and I know I'm an unfireable person. So I would put my dick and balls on the table and just do the show. But if PlayStation and them are hiding because of this deal about trying to stop the deal from going through, then that's on them and their decision. They actually know what they're doing, I guess, because they you know, sold however many. I mean, but like I said, my personality says I'm going to go ahead and do it. But if PlayStation wants to hide behind the show, then they can go ahead and do that as well.
Mm-hmm. Nate, you here? Okay. Um. So with PlayStation up, Microsoft down, what what's next?
What's
Hmm?
next? A whole lot of converting over to PlayStation, I guess. I don't know. Um, I'm just happy that the platform I invested in is doing well and in an upward trajectory because that means I did my research and I made a good investment.
Yep. So my question for you is, w- clearly people are care a lot about what PlayStation is doing, and the people that left and joined PlayStation, I am pretty sure most of them are on Xbox front, cause we just got Xbox. We got Xbox. What call it? Uh, Nate, you're on air. You. n-
No, I can
Oh,
hear you.
okay.
Oh. I was about to say, I was about to
Okay,
say,
so
give me some
okay,
bagels.
gotcha. Okay, I was
Gotcha.
wondering. Okay, um, yeah, I was wondering. Like, yeah, um, look, when it comes to PlayStation, we seen what Xbox is doing. They're clearly not doing something right. Clearly, their own fan base are leaving them. So here I have the statistic. Give me a second. One person compared the two. So here, uh, gaming revenue comparison. Xbox 13% down, PlayStation 53% up. Hardware revenue comparison. Xbox 13% down, PlayStation 119% up. Third party content revenue comparison. Xbox 12% first and third party down, PlayStation 22%, 22.7% third party, and 43.5 third party. Like, it's night and day between the two. How do you combat that, innate?
Try actually
Oh,
releasing some of the games they have been working on for a long time. games that people have been anticipating and working on. Uh, I mean, that's the only real answer. I mean, it's gaming. In order for people to game, you need to release the games. Hi-Fi Rush was very cute. Um, a very small title to release quickly. Um, that a lot of people obviously enjoy, but yeah, that's the only real way you combat that. They need to get their shit together, get these release schedules going. They need to get in that cadence that they promised with 3 to 4 major AAA releases per year from first party developers, and they need to get the shit together when it comes to that. That's the only way you combat that. Period. Um,
Mm-hmm.
you're not getting any more suckers into your ecosystem without getting that done. So at least to start with, they better hope, pray, and whatever else they need to do that Starfield is hitting on all cylinders and comes out on time from here on out because they need something. So yeah, that's how you
Um,
do that.
and if Starfield is released unfinished, is that enough? Undercooked?
I don't think I don't. Well, I don't think it's going to release unfinished. I think it's going to release in
Mm-hmm.
typical Bethesda fashion, which is never unfinished. It's just buggy to a degree. But we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to say that it will. We'll see what it turns out to be. Uh, when we get to that bridge, they've promised some new techniques and stuff that they've learned and some new AI that they've employed that is able to discover bugs and help them fix a lot more bugs than they used to. So we'll see how
That
well that actually works out.
that's cute. Coming
Wow.
from the person that said 15 times the
I
detail. I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, Viper.
say
You
again. I'm
want to say
sorry.
something? Huh?
No. Well, I was say same thing. Produce games, be on time. The- I don't. I don't understand this. Let me compete. Shit. You just do what you need to do. Period. Point blank. They're not doing what they need to do.
You just told Sintrash, tagline, so I need to delete this video now. I'm joking. I'm joking. But yeah, no, actually, do what you do. Um, Nate, you had a topic that you want to talk about. I read your tweet. Um, my question for you is, I wanted to talk about God of War. I can skip that. You want to
No,
talk
I
about
mean
what you want
you
to
can
talk
still.
about?
I mean we can celebrate that quickly. I mean everybody's been talking about it already, so everybody kind of gets that. Um, but yeah, I mean yeah, I'm down to celebrate the victory. I mean yeah, everybody knows God of War. They released that they sold over 11 million, which we then, like I said, later discovered that was only on PlayStation 5. So but PlayStation 4 combined, they actually sold over 16 million in under 2 months.
16?
16 million. Yep. That's
16. Yeah.
that's including the PS4 version. So yeah, I mean
Yeah, it's crazy.
it's insane. It's a massive, massive success. It's a phenomenal game. We all got to really experience it. I'm glad we did. And shout out to the
Mm-hmm.
team. Well deserved. It's nice to see games that have truly had a crazy level of craftsmanship and work ethic put in from a top tier team be rewarded. And I think they'll go on to sell, 20 million plus as more and
Mm-hmm.
more people get into the PlayStation 5 ecosystem. And I mean, it's pretty awesome. I'm happy for them.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. We, Viper?
Same here. Excited. Um, it just reflects that I made a good choice in the product that I chose. That's all.
Gotcha. I'm super interested to see where God of War gonna go next with this one. I mean, are they gonna do DLC or are they gonna focus on their next game? Which, if they are, then it's going to be the one that what's his name?
I can.
Um, Cory Barlog. It's apparently working on or directing. So we will see. And Nate, do you want to end it here or do you want to talk about your topic? Your call. Hmm. I think we might be ready to end it, but let's wait on an 8th.
I can unninja and chew loudly if you want me to.
Sorry?
I can unninja and chew loudly if you want me to.
Hmm.
No, I'm kidding.
No, you're kidding. Um, but yeah. Mm, mm. Hey, you're back. Okay, take your time. Viper,
Mm-hmm.
do you think this year going to be the year of Microsoft?
Yes. This is the year that Microsoft quits.
Microsoft what?
Quits. They will get out of the gaming industry.
Mm.
Or I take it back. They're gonna go third party. Sorry.
Double. Mm.
There won't no more consoles. It's all third party. That's what they're set up for anyway.
So you truly this is the final run.
Mm-hmm. Blame Game Pass. They want to make games that doesn't take much blood, sweat, and tears to do. Um, I can see that fitting exactly with when you buy a new TV and you see that little Xbox marker or app on it. You can start the game up with control. That's what they're aiming for. They're not in it for the money. They're in it for the exposure.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. It's super interesting then to see how it's going to be.
Yeah, I'm with you.
And
Only thing I can do is sit there and watch with you and watch see this shit unfold.
you did say some stuff that I'm like, damn, you actually went there.
I mean, the fact of the matter is, Sony is showing the blueprint and how this shit should be done. Nintendo's been doing it. That's why they can sell tens of millions at full price for forever and a day. Um, Sony knows they can't do forever and a day prices, but they have their way of doing things, and both what Nintendo and Sony are doing is clearly past the forefront of what Microsoft is doing. You got these two companies moving in an upward trajectory, and you got another company sales are down. We got to cancel this. We're having development issues. You can clearly see it's night and day.
It's interesting to see where we go from now.
Yep.
Because end of last year, people were telling me that this is the year of Xbox. Because with the release of Starfield, Xbox is gonna, do their thing, apparently. And ain't you here? Okay, he's not.
He's getting bagels. Leave him alone.
Yeah, but he need to end it if he want to end it, because I can't end it from. Oh, I can end it from here. I wanted to talk about an eighth topic, but we're gonna do it next week.
Wait. One more question, Omar.
Go ahead.
The Last of Us TV show. Now,
Okay. Yo. Okay. Let's go.
wait. Not I'm not talking about the details of the episode 3. I got a question that's kind of goes around that. So the developers of the Last of Us game do you think they're getting a cut of whatever this TV show is about to make or not? And if they don't, do you think they deserve to get a cut?
Okay. First one. I truly hope so. Second one. They absolutely should. I think, look, PlayStation owns the IP. Neil Druckmann is directing it. I forgot who his name. He is the developer on it, but he didn't. I truly believe if you created Last of Us 2, you should be part of what you call it,
At least
the
I think
TV
they should get
series.
they should at least I think they should get bonuses from however much extra
Yeah,
money that they let's say for example they said an overall budget of 50 million for the show. I'm just guessing. If they make like 200 million, I believe them developers should get at least a bonus.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Because
So according to a statement that was released, I forget from where, but uh, yeah, not even apparently Neil is getting anything from the
what?
how well the show is doing. Yeah,
Not even Neil Druckmann?
yeah. So yeah,
I
it's
didn't.
it's considered entirely separate. Like that's not their thing. Like he might be advising and stuff like that, but apparently there's no kickback for them uh,
That sucks.
in regards to the show.
I I truly believe Neil what getting bang from it, but if Neil Druckmann not even getting anything, then I don't know how PlayStation even allowed for this to be a thing then.
Yeah, I don't know. That's supposedly
I
that's what was released
Well,
anyway.
I would say if Neil Druckmann is not getting a cut, then it's fair to say that the developer's not getting a cut. And I mean, I guess I'm okay with that, but not really. Really deep down, I feel if it was their idea and their product to make, that they should all be getting a cut. But whatever.
I mean, ultimately the IP is owned by Sony, so I mean Sony's the one benefiting the most from it. So I mean that's really all it
Evil
comes down to.
Hmm.
anti-consumer. No, I'm kidding. Let me stop.
Okay, I have a question. Nate, you want to talk about the topic or do you want to
No,
save it for next
that's why I
week?
said it's just gonna. We can just save it because I gotta finish it. We'll
Go
save it.
ahead, talk about it.
No, I said we'll save it because I gotta.
Oh, oh,
Yeah,
sorry, save
yeah,
it. Okay, gotcha,
because we
gotcha,
can go ahead and
gotcha.
end it.
Then feel free to do your outro where people can find you.
Yeah, just online. On Twitter at the real Innate. Um, actually keeping it gaming. Uh, unlike some people in our community who like to be a part of the gaming community that don't
Clearly, you
game
want to talk about it, but you
or
don't want to talk about it. Go
they
ahead.
don't game or they don't finish their games. But hey, some of us are about that life and some of us aren't.
Yep, I, me, that just came from what you call it, from travel. I am dying to play games, but hey, that's just me. Um, Viper, where people can find you.
On YouTube, Viper Reach Corner. I do RPG walkthroughs. I know I've been slacking. I'll do one soon coming up. Probably, I think I might do it for spoken walkthroughs if I feel up to it. At Reap Viper on Twitter, and I'll be slithering back to my corner.
Gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. As for me, people can find me on Caravan Scorecab on Twitter and Vitamin G podcast every Monday, 5 p.m., 8 p.m. Eastern time. And of course, here. Shout out to everyone that came through and see you next week where hopefully the entire crew is gonna be there because you absolutely don't want to miss an 8 rant. See you next week.